I'll definitely bring up your art,
Hmm.
your cooking, because you throw down.
Okay.
I see you throwing down, and I even saw you dance. I'm like, what in the like? You why did you do so much stuff? So I'm like, okay, she's doing choreography too. So I'll I'll talk about that as well.
Definitely. I'm definitely an artist. Yeah, I can't deny that. I'm definitely an artist.
Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host. My name is Q. We have a special guest in the building, and let me just give a little prelude to this. For this guest, this is probably the least I've known a guest ever on the show. I got to give a shout out to my cousin Matt, who I mentioned him before on the show, and he's really the common denominator with this interview. So I got to shout you out. Shout out to Matt. Um, Guest, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Whitney Dallas. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm an artist here in Atlanta, Georgia.
Whitney Dallas. Round of applause. All right, Whitney. Thank you for coming on. Welcome to the show. It's nice to have you. I just want to
Nice to
start
be
this
here, yeah.
off. Thanks. Yeah, it's always nice to have a new guest. I want to start this off by saying I'm petrified by you. I'm scared of you because as I was doing my research, aka scrolling through your Instagram accounts, and we said this before we were recording, you do just about everything. And I'm like, wow, like I don't even know where to start with this person. I don't know, but I'm intimidated, I'm petrified. Just know that this whole time that we're talking today that
You don't need to be, bro. You don't.
uh,
I am not that fantastic. I'm not at all.
I'm
I just
incredible.
I just do things I like to do, and I just enjoy them.
You could enjoy everything you want. I am horrified. I'm horrified. So Whitney, let's let's start back in the day now. What do you do? What all do you do as a creative person?
All right. Well, big thing is art, as you can probably see already with a couple pieces I have up there. Art and dance were actually my two first creative outlets. I've always enjoyed drawing since I was little, and I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. So I basically dance was my, I guess you could say, career for the longest time, including when I graduated high school. I started teaching dance at a dance studio. So,
Oh, wow.
um, and as far as art goes, I started taking art classes, like official art classes in high school. I'd always get like the draw books, like the step-by-step draw books from the library before that. But high school is when I started taking art classes, and then I went to college for art. Actually, I got just a basic bachelor's in studio art, but
They're being modest. A basic bachelor's. Okay. Okay, Whitney. All right. So you do a lot, and the one other thing that we're going to talk about both of those things. But the other thing is, as I was doing my research, is that you throw down some cooking.
that's a more recent endeavor, yes.
Okay. Well, we
Yeah.
can talk about too. One of the brothers I'm close with in my congregation. He loves cooking.
Hmm.
Used to go to their place for family worship before I was married, and
Hmm.
they were just always throwing down some crazy food. So, I can appreciate a good meal. My wife Kayla and I, we try to hook some food up, but your stuff is looking crazy. I see it. It's looking crazy. So let's start back in the day. Now, you're originally from Atlanta, Georgia, or the Georgia area.
Sort of, kind of. I actually was born in Birmingham, Alabama,
Okay.
but I only lived there till I was three or four. And then we moved around kind of a lot when I was young because of my dad's job. So we
Okay.
moved to Savannah Macon after that, and then Savannah, and then finally ended up here in Atlanta around, oh gosh, like 14, 15 years ago. So I've lived the longest in Atlanta.
Okay, so for the most part in Atlanta,
Mhm.
and what was life like growing up in Atlanta? Now I lived there for, some of my for about 7 years, but I'm not from the South. I'm not from Atlanta. Tell me what life was like.
Um, oh man, it's not well. I live in a small town just outside of Atlanta, so I'm not
Okay.
like in the city. It's your basics. At least where I'm at, I'm like halfway between like countryside and then the city. So it's kind of like the best. I'm easy access to the best of both worlds. So I
Yeah.
can drive 30 minutes and go to a corn maze, or I can drive 30 minutes and I can be in downtown going to like the Coca-Cola Museum or the aquarium or go to see a concert or things like that. So I feel like where I grew up was like a nice central location. It allowed me to experience a lot like growing up.
So you had a diverse upbringing.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right. So the
for
best of
sure.
both worlds. And so you talked about you were dancing since you were 3. Did I get that
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
how did that come about?
So, well, my mom originally put me into dance classes
Okay.
and I immediately like loved it. Immediately. Like I honestly, I still remember my first routine, like parts of it, mainly because we have a home video of it and we used to watch it kind of a lot. But I still remember my first routine. It was the bunny hop, little tap
Okay.
shoes and the bunny ears, 3-year-old. And and we were at a dance studio in Savannah. I really fell in love with tap there. We had like a really good instructor who's his instructor was actually Gregory Hines. So for anybody who's a dancer and knows, he's in the movie Tap, really famous tap dancer. Gregory Hines was his instructor, and he was trying to get a tap crew together in Savannah. And so I got to
Oh,
take like classes from him, which really helped me develop a love for like hoof and style tap. Not so much Broadway, but hoof and style tap.
hoof and style tap. I'll have to
Yeah, that's
look into
like
that.
think of it like street tap. That's like the
Okay.
street tap. Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah, more based on like getting in with the rhythms of the music rather than like arms and flashy and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then when we moved here to Atlanta, we actually found a studio that was owned by witnesses.
Okay.
So I got a chance to like meet like a family that like all the daughters were dancers, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have people that I can really be friends with. And
Yeah.
so and I like really took off dancing there because by then like I was getting in the more advanced classes because I was older, and even got a chance to compete for a couple of years with their competitive team as well. So
Oh wow. So you were deeply endowed in tap.
yes.
Okay. Now, Steve, do you?
Tap,
Go
all
ahead.
styles.
Sorry.
Sorry, yeah. Yes, like tap, ballet, jazz, hip hop, all of
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right. Because what I saw you doing like a I don't know what video it was, what time of the year, what year it was, but
Mhm.
it looked like I saw you like doing some type of, interpretive dance. I don't know dancing too much, but it looked like you were doing pretty much everything. Like I saw like some hip hop and then like infused with like some ballet looking moves.
So I think I know what piece you're talking about. So
Okay.
basically, like when I graduated high school, I became the hip hop teacher at the studio. And as I started like becoming better as a teacher and instructor and learning different styles of choreography, I discovered what they call lyrical hip hop. And basically, it is a blend of my two favorite styles of dance, contemporary or lyrical, like that kind of genre, and then hip
Hmm.
hop. So I that's my favorite style to choreograph in. So it's like you get some of the like hardness and the rawness of hip hop, but then it's like smoothed out by some of the contemporary moves. So it gives you a broader range of the styles of songs you can choreograph to, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it looked good. I'm like, I never seen anything like this before. I
Hmm.
didn't know there was a name to the style of dancing that you were
Hmm.
doing, but it's pretty cool. So shout out to all the dancers. I learned something new every time I'm talking to someone, and because I don't know too much about dance, honestly. So
Hmm.
this is nice. Shout out to the contemporary dancers, the lyrical interpreters, all of that. And you're still dancing today, maybe, not to the extent of.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm always dancing. Yeah.
uh,
The styles I do now are more so Latin styles, like salsa, bachata, merengue, that kind of stuff. So
okay,
it's like
okay.
it's the more social dances, like you don't exactly go to a party and start doing lyrical moves, So, so I keep up
Right.
with like some of a little bit of like the mainstream hip hop or the like African dance styles and stuff. I'm always learning new styles of dance. Like I don't think that's ever gonna leave me. It's a big part of my life.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, when it comes to, we'll go in chronological order. So we got dancing down. We
Hmm.
could come back to it later if there's anything more you'd like to say about it.
Okay.
But let's move on to the art part of your life. You said you
Hmm.
started doing art in high school.
Yeah, official classes in high school. Yeah.
Okay, so what's your history with art? Because I can see, a couple things in the background there,
Hmm.
some pieces that you made. How did art come about in your life, or drawing art, painting, stuff like that?
So my one of my aunts on my mom's side actually was an artist in the family. And sadly she passed away before I could ever get to know her. But my mom had some of her drawings in the house and that inspired me to like start drawing myself, really. Like she had pictures of animals, so I started drawing animals first. And when my parents saw that I had like a skill in that area, they encouraged me to like, well, go get art books and watch videos. I used to watch these art programs on TV that taught you how to
Hmm.
draw things in the morning, things like that. And when I got to high school, when you got to choose like your own classes, I was like, well, I'm definitely picking art. And that
Yeah.
allowed me to get exposed to many different styles, from like watercolor to like film photography to charcoal. And like I got to experiment with a lot of things and figure out what I liked. So that by the time I got into college, I knew like exactly the medium or the style that I wanted to go with by then.
Now, I was on your art page, right? I was on your art page, and I'm going through, and I see that your favorite medium is charcoal.
Yes.
But the problem was for me was I didn't know what a medium was. Now
Oh.
I have check this out, because I don't try to be completely ignorant. I like to know a little bit of stuff,
Mhm.
if it's a field I'm not familiar with. I have a paper that I didn't bring over here. So I'm really slacking, but I'm looking at it. It's sitting on our couch, but it has a list of basic art definitions. I printed out a list of art terminology, but it's
Okay.
useless because it's over there.
It's over
It's
there.
over there, and yeah. So
Well,
I
if
did.
you need any help with that, I got you throughout this.
So
Let me do so.
thank you so much. So your favorite medium is charcoal. So talk about the different styles of art that you make.
So I do a little bit of acrylic recently, as in since COVID started, I started doing acrylic paintings. Watercolor, a lot of watercolor. I like that medium a lot. Charcoal, pencil drawings, pen and ink drawings as well. And then after I graduated, I started getting into digital art a lot because that was becoming like the movement. Like a lot more companies were requesting that, and like even the organization was like they weren't wanting physical art anymore. They're like anything digital, because everything, the whole industry of art, as far as from a
Yeah.
business standpoint, is going very digital. So that's been the digital side has probably been about 60-70% of the art that I've been doing ever since like 2015.
Okay.
Um,
And when you talk about degree of difficulty, um, in my opinion, I'm not an artist or an art critic, but in my opinion, you seem pretty advanced. When it comes to the degree of difficulty, how long does it take, or the amount of time you have to spend on something like watercolor, acrylic, the digital art? How long does it take to get to a point where you can uh, feel comfortable putting yourself out there, or even doing commissions?
um, a lot of that depends on your personal work ethic. The only way you improve in art is through practice. It's practice, practice, practice. And even for someone like me who's been doing art for a long time, if I spend a month not doing any art whatsoever, I kind of have to retrain. Like my technique goes down a little bit, even
Yeah.
if I go like a month without drawing a thing or designing a thing. And so a lot of it depends on how much time and commitment you're putting into it. It's not that you have to like spend 3 hours every day making art, but it's
Mhm.
just every day taking the time to either be thinking about designs or actually sketching something. And the more practice you do, everybody's point where they feel confident is a little bit different. I've seen people that have started doing commission work at a point where I didn't feel confident doing commission work at all, but they were already out there and people are buying their stuff, you know?
Yeah.
It's not always about like whose looks the most realistic. It's like if someone likes your style, they like your style. So that I think that's the beauty of art is not everyone has to like look the same or be in the same manner, the same, even within the same field. Like if you do realistic drawings, like someone could like someone's realistic drawings more than someone else, just
Right.
because of that's their style. Like everybody has a unique style in art, which I think is really, really cool. So for people that want to start like selling their own art, like you'd be surprised. There are many pieces that I feel like look like trash, and people go, I want that in my house, or I want a copy of that. And it's like, so like I always say, like, hey, the worst someone can say is no if they don't, you know, or they
Yeah.
won't even say anything at all. Like, just put yourself out there, you know, and the only way that you're going to grow and progress in that area is by taking that first step. So like if you 95% of the time you as an artist are going to feel you're going to view your art as like subpar to what people want. And the thing I get reminded by every single time I post something or I people ask me for commissions and I give it to them and I see the look on their face, like something where I've stared at for so long and feel like it doesn't look good anymore, they feel like it's the most beautiful thing in the world to them. So as an artist, you have to get out of your head and just get it out there. Like
Yeah.
just put it out there and let the art do its thing. You know, like it has its voice and people are going some person out there is going to like the voice of the piece that you put out. So
There you have it. And at what point did you start doing commissions? How long after you were really learning art did you start doing commissions personally?
um around my senior year of high school.
Okay.
I had learned that was about like 4 years after officially taking classes, but not 4 years after learning how to do portraits. I actually only had learned how to do portraits for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And I found a technique that worked for me and people liked what they saw and they felt that it looked good. And so I started doing charcoal portraits as my first kind of like commissioned pieces. And so it doesn't have to take a long time. You find what works for you and then you start doing it. And then you have
All
it.
right, all my artists out there, you hear her. So you're my second artist. Well, I'll say you're my third artist. Now we
Mhm.
had my wife, she does art, she does digital and different, she paints as well. We have my man Larry from up here. He does a lot of commissions and things like that. Now you're my third one. So and it's interesting to hear everybody's different viewpoints on putting out their work and building the confidence and
Mhm.
things like that. Now while I was talking, I forgot the next question I was going to ask, so I'm going to uh so what did you yeah, we're real professional over here.
Okay.
And so what did you go to college for? Did you go to college for a any type of artistic, you know something like that,
Um,
any major like that?
I okay, so honestly, I originally went because I wanted to get a degree in graphic design.
Okay.
Um, and So, first 2 years of college, first year of college is very much, you just got to get the prereqs out. You got to get all these basics. And even within the art department itself, everybody has to go through certain classes before you can start like sifting down into what you want to do. So by my second year, like my fourth semester, I was taking graphic design classes by then. And then you had to get a portfolio together of these specific classes and then present it to the board there. And then they would like select who would make it into the graphic design program. And the thing is, it was very competitive in the school that I was in. They only accepted about 25 students a year. And so I put all my stuff in, I did the best that I could, and I left it in Jehovah's hands because I was like, listen, if I get in, that means this is the right place for me to go. Because I'd been hearing a lot about like the mental toll it took on students to continue on in the graphic design program.
Okay.
And so I was like, if I get in, that's what it's meant to be. And if I don't get in, then I'm not supposed to get this and I'm not going to try again, because you had to wait another year to reapply. So I didn't get into the program. Oh. And I was like, well, I guess we're just going to be majoring in studio art. That's why I said like it's just a bachelor's of studio art, because that's like the lowest degree in the art department. And like after that, I did get asked by other teachers, like the drawing teacher and the life drawing teacher, like the portraits and bodies. They were like, you need to major in drawing. You need to major in drawing. And like, the stereotypical starving artist career, that is a life drawing artist. That is what that is that you make all this art, you make all of it, and you hope and pray someone buys your pieces. Gotcha. Because that is how you eat. You sell one, that's your rent, your money for that month. So they were like asking me to really join and like major in that. And I was like, nah, guys, it's okay. I enjoyed this class. You taught me a lot, but I'm going to graduate because I just want to be done with college.
Yeah. I'm sure. I know that has to be difficult, and the amount of time, it's time consuming. You got all sorts of different assignments. So, I went to a 10 months trade school. Okay. And that was enough.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine. And I know I have friends who did 2 years of, 2 or 3 years of school, but I did 10 months. I'm like, and I took it seriously. I was a horrible high school student, but I took my trade school seriously, and so I could get me some work. And I'm like, man, this is taking a lot out of me. So I just couldn't imagine, 2, 3, 4 years. So I'm sure you just wanted to get up out of there and get it over with. Now,
it was definitely the right decision to.
Well, shout out to you for finishing,
Yeah.
shout out to you for.
I did finish. I'm not an art school dropout.
Okay, there we go. There we go. You finished, you committed yourself, and here you are today.
Yeah.
Now going back to your favorite medium. That's the word for today for me.
Yeah,
this
medium.
is my word. This is my word of the day. Charcoal. Now, what about that style attracts you to it? Why is that your favorite? And this is for the artists, because I wouldn't know.
I feel like charcoal in the dry, any of the dry mediums, like between pencil and pastels and all that kind of stuff, I feel like charcoal is the most forgiving. It allowed me to make mistakes, but them not be permanent, kind of thing. And also when I was in school, so I always thought charcoal were just these little compressed charcoal sticks. They draw really dark lines, and I never thought, I was like, I don't like these. They just get your hands dirty and they're like useless, right? But in drawing classes in college, we were required to use charcoal to do all of our drawings. So I started learning that there were different types of charcoal. There's vine charcoal, which is a lot softer, and like you can use it to kind of sketch with charcoal. And then you have the compressed, and then you have charcoal pencils, and I learned about like the malleable erasers that look like clay, but they're erasers. Okay. And once I learned like that little world of charcoal, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this, because you can blend so easily, and you can get a really large depth of values very quickly with charcoal. With pencil, it takes a little bit longer, and you have to have a lot more pencils. But with charcoal, just it felt very natural for me to get into it. Like the way that you blended and like the sketching with it, it became my go-to medium.
Okay. And what are your other favorite styles of creating arts?
Um, there's a there it's very hard to like rank them, but I also really love watercolor. Really
Watercolor.
love watercolor. I love how that paint works on. I took a water-based media class and I fell in love with watercolor. Specifically gouache. So like for the artists out there, you have the watercolor paints, you have the gouache paints, and you have acrylic paints. They're all water-based. Gouache, I feel like has better pigments. And so I like the colors that you can bring out. It looks like watercolor, but technically it's called gouache.
Gouache.
Yeah, gouache.
That was on my sheet
and
over
it's
there.
spelled nothing like you think. Okay, there's no W. There's no. I don't know what language it comes from, but
Hold on, Whitney. We're ghetto today. Hold on.
You got it. You got it now.
All right, because I'm 99% sure I saw that, and pigments ground in water and mixed with gum to form opaque watercolor. Gouache resembles school tempera. Is that a word? Tempera paint or poster paint. And I remember seeing this. I was going over this, and I'm like, goche, gouache, like
gouache.
So it's nice that you said that. I learned another word. So I learned two words today: medium and gouache.
There you go. There you go. You're gonna sound like a professional artist now.
Check me out. So thank you for breaking that down. So charcoal, watercolor, and gouache. Those are.
And also, I love digital now. That took a minute. Anybody who's a physical artist knows the struggle of going from physical paper to an iPad and having to draw like that. Like, it is the weirdest sensation to draw and not feel the paper or not feel the surface that you're drawing on. And then it not be, it's just different. It took a long time for me to get used to it. But now the tables have kind of turned a little bit because I've gotten so used to the forgiveness of digital. I'll just undo that. Or I can resize this here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. Whereas on paper, it's like you're one and done, you can't go back.
Yeah.
As much. You can a little bit, but not as much.
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of digital art. And I saw that as well with digital art, just staying on that for a second. When I say you're advanced or you seem, pretty skilled, I see this beautiful creation, this digital art piece, and you're talking about in the caption, like, oh, the things I accomplished. You didn't say this verbatim, like, oh, this is what I got done on a plane ride. Like, how long was the plane ride that you got this whole, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, how can you, I don't know what seat you had, if you were in between two people, but I think that's pretty cool that you can create a whole art piece on a plane ride. Who knows how long it was, but I'm like, okay, you have to be pretty decent to do something like this.
Yeah. As you practice more and more, things become quicker because your guesstimations in the beginning become more accurate. So like when you're drawing a face, the proportions that you guessed as you were doing the quick sketch to start it become like, oh, I don't have to adjust this as much anymore. Or then you learn like quicker ways to blend or quicker ways to add the hair or whatever's going on with whatever you're drawing. So just as you get more comfortable with the medium that you're drawing in, then it takes less time.
Gotcha. So practice makes perfect, getting comfortable, knowing what you're doing and, putting it into use. I want to talk about keeping on subject with your artwork, how much emotion goes into it. And I'll tell you why. I saw some of your pictures, and I'm looking at the one right now. I screenshotted it. Something like Behind the Smile. Something like that. It was, and when I edit this, I'll put this picture up on the screen for everyone to see.
Mhm.
But I saw this. Did I even comment on it? Oh, I didn't screenshot enough to see if I commented.
It's
But
okay.
I remember seeing this, like, wow, this is some real stuff. So, how much emotion goes into your personal art pieces?
It honestly depends on the art piece. Um, Sometimes I'm like, "Ah, I have an idea in my head. Let me just get it out," kind of thing. But for something like that, um, that piece I think was like it kind of was like a self-reflection. Um, Mainly from like the circumstances of the pandemic and everything that was going on. And, you know, I started feeling like I was putting on this front for everybody, like all the time, every Zoom meeting or every like get together we had or whatever. It's just like I would leave, like I would enjoy myself while I was there, but I would leave and feel empty. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
like there were the points in quarantine where like I'm sure that a lot of people has had this, like where you just had those dark days, like mentally and emotionally, you were not in a good place. Like
Yeah.
it's just at some point being confined like this and not being able to be like to hug people for real and and like see people and like hang out like face to face real close and all that. Like it took a toll unexpectedly on me. Because I was very active on Zoom, anything Zoom, I was on there to keep that social
Yeah.
connection. But I felt like after a while, I was like, I'm not happy inside, and I felt like, and I had figured out, like, I'd worked my way out of it, and
Yeah.
understood what kind of got me to that point and have been able to, honestly, I feel like I've come out a lot stronger and a lot more mentally like solid, I guess,
Yeah.
from because of this pandemic. But I felt like that piece could resonate with a lot of people because I'm naturally a happy person. And for me to have gone through that, I can only imagine like other people that maybe have worse living conditions than me or aren't, like maybe they suffer from depression or anxiety or things like that. Like I could only imagine like what internal struggle they had going on through all this. So I figured it would be a good piece to share with others, like let them know that you're not the only one who feels like this at times. So
This brings a smile to my face, and I'll tell you why. So a lot of stuff that I post for the podcast on my Instagram page, I don't know most of these people. Since the pandemic, I've met through other people, just like you. I met you
mhm,
through Matt.
mhm.
I just covered a young sister in North Carolina, and she made a song with the same intentions as this painting, you know.
Mhm.
And then I covered another brother in Ohio. He's not that far, so hopefully I can meet him. He's not far from me. I'm in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, yeah.
If this is ever over, but he made a song like that too, and that I covered. So it's just so nice to see people in different places. If anybody, maybe like 50 people will watch this, maybe, maybe. But it's just reassuring to know that a lot of our friends have these emotions,
Mhm.
but to see people put it into creative outlets like this when I put the, like, I love this painting, like I actually love it, like I love it. And it just, that's it. This is how I give comments at the meeting too. I'd be like, that's it. um, I want to talk about another one too. This one is defeated, not destroyed. And do you remember that?
Oh, is that the Batman one?
Yes. This I'll put this up.
Okay, sorry,
Oh,
I
you
froze for
look
a
you look
second.
blindsided. I'm sorry.
No, I froze for a second. That's all.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
no,
Zoom, the
you're good. Yeah.
problems of Zoom. Now, of course, I'll put this up for, when I edit
Mhm.
it, but I just want to read this, because I thought this was very interesting, for anyone who wants to look at this piece. It says defeated, not destroyed, digital portrait in Procreate. Um, so it's weird to hear your captions read back to you, isn't it?
It is.
All right, so this is so
Continue.
just hold on for the awkwardness. It'll all be over soon. All right, I decided to take a look at the flip side of being a superhero. What happens when the battle is over and they return home? Despite having won the day, the idea of their nemesis still haunts them, even when the mask is off. They may be able to save the day, but the question is, can they save themselves? You do poetry too? Like I said, I'm horrified of you because I don't feel qualified. Um, but even with an art piece like that, where did you come up with this?
So I actually have been part of a weekly Zoom meeting that was like an art-based Zoom like weekly thing get together. And every week we'd have a theme. And you could do anything you want with that theme. Like it could be super like very literal interpretation of what they said or super abstract interpretation. And the theme that week was just superheroes. Like
Okay.
that's literally all the theme was superheroes. And Batman is like those movies, they're one of my favorite like superhero lines. Like I've always watched the Batman movies, like from the old ones to the new ones.
Yeah.
And when I was trying to think like, okay, what am I gonna do with Batman though? Like I don't want this to be cliche. And I don't know, I just started like thinking about like Bruce Wayne. Like not about Batman, but like about Bruce Wayne. And like I forget which of the movies it is. The one with Christian Bale, but one of them where like you can just see the torment inside him as Bruce Wayne. Like not as Batman, but like you can see that it never really leaves him. Like whatever villain, especially the Joker, like of all the villains, like the Joker, how much of a mental toll it takes on him.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go with that kind of that spin on it. And I was looking up reference photos. And so when I saw that one of Bruce Wayne and then I saw the other one of the Joker and I was like, I know exactly what it's gonna be. Like all I did was see the two reference photos and I was like, yep, that's the piece. So
all right, I got one more for you from your Instagram. Just one more.
okay.
And then I want to ask you about one of your favorite pieces. What's one of your favorite pieces? Now I'm going through your Instagram once again. Now I just met you not too long ago, but it seems that you drew a picture of me. This one is called Trapped. This is like one of at the very beginning of your art Instagram. I said, hey yo.
Oh.
I'm like, who's this? Like
oh man, bro, you don't know how long ago I drew that.
like who's I thought it looks
honestly, I can see the resemblance. Not gonna lie.
But these are the things that personally appeal to me. I'm things that can draw out emotion from me. I like to. This is why I picked the ones I did. But something like this, I think the picture itself speaks for itself. If you can remember this, I know you just said it was from a long time ago, but where were you at with this one?
So honestly, this wasn't so much like a personal struggle necessarily. I was very new this is when I was pushing myself in the digital art and I was just reference photo, just trying to work on doing portraits digitally. And I found this picture was just the man screaming. Like I looked up high contrast black and white pictures and I was adding color to them. So this is actually a black and white photo that I pulled it from. And I was working on adding my own colors to a black and white piece. And while I was like doing the initial sketching of it, the idea came to me of just like, I guess I had felt like this at some point in my life before, but like that feeling of, when you're in a dream and you try to scream, but you can't kind of thing.
Yeah.
And understand, like, or you get so, or like in real life, when you get so frustrated because somebody just can't understand you, like whatever you're trying to express is not getting to them, or like no one around you is really understanding how you're feeling inside. That's why I decided to add that sheet of glass in front, to feel like you're trapped inside, like, you know, your own like soundproof box, basically. Like no one can really hear you. And you're trying so hard to get your voice out that it's cracking the glass, but it hasn't broken. Like, you know, people, it's
Yeah.
still not quite reaching them, even though you're doing like your hardest to reach them. So it wasn't necessarily like a personal struggle, but it was kind of like an idea that developed as I was drawing it.
Yeah, I think many people can relate to that. So thank you for, bearing with me as I, took you to a journey down, now let's talk about some of your favorites. Now, what were some of your favorites to create?
Oh man. That's always a hard question for me. Favorites are always a hard. I have favorites for very different reasons.
Okay.
So the series of the watercolors that I did for the memorial last year, that's one of my favorites as far as watercolor goes, because it was the first time like I didn't have work, I didn't have like anything to worry about during that time in the year, and like everything was closed, and you know, everybody was like on holiday because it was right when COVID had hit and all that kind of stuff. So like I had a chance to really just really meditate and really spend my time envisioning Jesus' life before his death. And so that's like those watercolor pieces have a special place in my heart, because they're the first time I was able to like feel like I expressed something in art, like for Jehovah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the piece that is a portrait that someone asked me to do a commission for a sister named Haley. I feel like that is technically speaking, like as far as technical art is talking about, like one of my best pieces, probably the best piece I've ever done. As far as a portrait.
Now
it's the one with the news or the dictionary print background.
I got it. I remember seeing this. Yeah.
Yeah. That one, I don't even know how. I don't know how I did that. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those. Normally, as an artist, like I'll step back from a piece and feel like, oh, I could have fixed that.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, oh, I should have worked more on that. This is a piece where I don't see anything. There is only this piece and this dancer right here. Those are the only two pieces that I have made in the last like 3 years where I feel like they are perfect. Like as an artist, it's very hard for me to reach that point with a painting. And so I'm very proud of myself for this one. And then for this flamenco dancer here, that's my first acrylic painting that I've ever done. So like I spent like, you know, I took my time with it, and like I picked an image that, and it also was reminding me of when I traveled and did a little bit of need grading in Spain. So it was like kind of in capturing that entire trip in a painting. So
very nice, very nice. The last thing I want to talk about is your cooking, because that's an art. That cooking, cooking is an art.
It is.
And my very first Zoom interview was a sister in the DMV, Chef Rashida. Shout out to Chef Rashida, and she's a personal chef. And when I was talking to her, you can just really see her love for cooking. Like she really enjoys cooking, and she makes her stuff looks fire. Like I'm a few hours away from her, and I can't pay for her services, but I would love to just try all these friends different foods. But let's talk about your cooking, because it's looking serious, so it looks real serious. So how did this come about? How did this form of creativity really blossom?
So I actually started out as a baker.
Okay.
I learned baking from my mom, and I started learning how to decorate cakes and decorate cookies and cupcakes and all that kind of stuff. So that was my thing for the longest time. Was I was the baker. Someone else can cook. I'm gonna bake.
Hmm.
And then slowly, like once I graduated college, I started cooking. Like I used to like try to cook every once in a while for the family and like cook lunch for myself and just try things. And when I started out, it was not so good. I'm gonna be honest. It was not so
Hey.
good when I started out, you know? It's like I never tasted as I went along, or I would just follow the recipe and like just call it a day. And you
Yeah.
know, like and you have embarrassing moments sometimes when you go present that food to other people and no one eats it at the gathering and you're like, oh,
Oh.
that's
Oh, that's all right.
that's a humbling experience right there.
Yeah.
So I have a friend, she like went to school, she went to culinary school, and like she knows how to cook. Like she's a chef. And she would teach me a thing or two, you know. I would go over to her house and like I would watch her cook or things like that, but I never considered myself a cook. And then when COVID happened, the only the only TV I would turn on, and still to this day, it's still, if I ever watch TV, because I don't even have time to really do that much anymore, but if I watch TV, it's the cooking channel.
Gotcha.
And I would just, you know, any of them. Like there was no like show that was too dumb or too like basic for me. I was like, whether it was diners, drive-ins, and dives, or it was like Chopped or Iron
Yeah.
Chef or whatever it was. And I literally would just observe. Anything that I have learned to do in the kitchen has been off of the cooking channel. And then if I saw something I really wanted to get more information on, I would go Google some YouTube videos of it. But about 75% of my cooking skills have happened in quarantine. Like,
That's great. Now, because yeah, a lot of things have come out of quarantine. You know, it's not like a happy time. You know, it's a global pandemic. Who wants to
yeah.
be in that? But you know, being able to apply yourself to something new. So what's one of some of the things that you've made during this time period that you came out of it like, wow, this is really good. This might be my go-to. Let's hear something. Let's hear what's up.
So I love homemade pasta. I have
Okay.
learned how to make fettuccine. I've made ravioli. I've made gnocchi. I love making pasta. I found I have a love for that. And then I also have fallen in love with curry. I have
Okay.
learned how to make some curries. One Indian curry and one Thai curry, or red Thai curry. That's just been trial and error for lunch. Like I would just like, okay, let's see how this goes this time. And I
Yeah.
finally feel like I have it down to where like every time it's consistently good now. And also I finally have ventured into like fancier meats. I used to just be like, oh, just chicken or fish or pork, you know? And so
Yeah.
I've actually made chicharrones, like the Dominican style. I've made lamb, like racks of lamb. I've done multiple types of steak now.
Oh
So
wow.
slowly, we are expanding our abilities.
We're really getting into the big leagues with
Yeah.
nowadays. Now I have one question. What is
Chicharrones.
chicharrones? Okay, I never heard of it. So what is that? Just from my own personal.
Don't make this if you ever plan on having any sort of diet. Okay.
Okay.
Do not,
Noted.
don't. This is pork belly, all right, that has been marinated in a mix of seasonings for like hours. And you marinate it in an uncovered pot until all of it evaporates, all the water evaporates.
Oh wow, wow.
This is pork belly, okay?
Yeah.
And then you fry the pork belly.
Oh wow, this is
Let me tell you something. It is one of the best things you will ever eat in your life, but it is also one of the most unhealthy things you will ever eat in your life. But
it's the best and the worst.
So good. You get that and you get some tostones, you're set.
Wow, I would now I never heard of this, but now I want to try it.
Yes. You should.
Pittsburgh is incredibly uncultured. Sorry, shout out to the city. Shout out to the city. But I don't know if I'm gonna find that up here, to tell you the truth.
Probably not. You could head to New York, probably.
Uh-huh.
Find some Dominican spots in New York. It's Dominican. So if you can
It's a
find a
Dominican
Dominican
dish.
spot, like an
All right.
authentic Dominican spot, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna have to call the
Or
plug.
if you know a family that's Dominican, they'll be able to cook it for you.
I'm gonna have to call the plugs. So
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. So I guess we're nearing the end of this. Is there anything else, anything that I missed, anything that any words of encouragement for anybody, who's a creator out there, just anything that you would like to say, any shout outs even?
Well, one, shout out to 8 Hours because it's our little club, 8 Hours Club.
Shout
That's
out
our
to the 8 hours.
8 Hours has gotten me through this pandemic more times than I can count. But as a general, like, just statement to anybody who's in anything creative, don't stop doing what you're doing. Like, if it's music, if it's poetry, if it's photography, if it's videography, art, dance, whatever it is, don't let the circumstances of what's going around keep you out of your art for too long. Like, you don't understand the impact that your art has on other people, no matter how, like, small or minute or even bad you think your art is. Like, I guarantee you, someone somewhere that's following on your page, that drawing has, like, changed their perspective on life, or that song was just what they needed to hear that day, or that video touched them and made them cry that day, but, like, in a good way.
Mhm.
Like, artists are very important in life, and there's a, like, I think it's a very special trait to have as human beings, and mainly because, like, being made in God's image, I feel like it's our chance to be able to feel how Jehovah felt when he creates things. Like, it's our way to be able to exhibit the same creative qualities that Jehovah has. Like, we can reflect him in that way, not just in
Yeah.
his love or in his power or justice or anything. Like, we can reflect his creative side as well in what we do. And I feel like that's just such a privilege, and, like, something that I cherish very much. So, like, there's gonna be days where you don't feel like making anything, and there's gonna be maybe weeks where you get into a slump and there's, like, nothing that you do. But, like, just don't ever stop. Don't ever give up on it. Like, because you don't know the impact that your art is having on other people. Because I've heard it from other people to me, and I've also experienced it from other people's art. And, like, I make sure now, especially after this whole pandemic that we've been going through, like, I make it a point to let people know, when any creative person, I let them know when, like, wow, this touched me, or this was awesome, keep going. Because those little words, for those of you that aren't artists, those little words, those little comments, even if it's a half a sentence, it will make the day of anybody who has posted that art. Like, it really keeps them going and keeps their motivation and their drive up. So, artists, don't stop creating, and people that aren't artists, keep on motivating and supporting your friends that are artists.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
I'm going to end it there, because that was, I don't need to say anything else. Thank you so much for being on today.
Uh-huh.
Whitney, this is the Cool Hand Podcast, something you got to deal with.